Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Science of Spirit. I'm Janice, and today I'm going to be reading from a channeled session I did on something called the New Earth. Now, this is a term used by Dolores Cannon, and if you don't know who Dolores Cannon was, she was a clinical hypnotherapist. She passed away, I think, a few years back, and she wrote a lot of books. And there is also a YouTube channel that's still there with a lot of her seminars on many different topics. So one of the things that she brought up was this new earth idea that is supposed to be happening at some point. And how this came about was with her clients coming in, she would regress them. She was doing past life regressions mostly, it sounds like. So at some point while doing the regression, she would talk to their higher self. And it was through these higher selves that she was getting this information on various topics, things that she or the client weren't even bringing up. And apparently this would go on from client to client. She could have a client in the United States and then have someone in the other, in another country, because she did a lot of traveling and gave seminars throughout the world. And the information would continue on the same topic. Now, one thing I don't know is whether or not she would check her clients each time for spirit attachments, because if they do have a spirit attachment, then that can skew whatever information you're getting, and you may not be getting the information from who you think you are. So that's something that should always be done. Also, making sure that there isn't another spirit in the room as well, because there could have been something attached to her. You never know. But I honestly don't know whether that was done or not. Maybe she did. So we're just going to go with perhaps she did check for that type of thing. So this whole New Earth thing was something that was brought up during these sessions, and it is supposed to be something that occurs in the future, a type of vibrational change that actually creates a new earth where people of that vibration can go. So I thought this idea was really intriguing, but I was not too sure whether this was true or not. So I decided to ask my higher self, and I did a channeling session to see what was going on here. Because you never know. Sometimes things that seem far-fetched end up being true. So I went ahead and did actually a couple of channeling sessions. The first one I did, and then I had questions, so I had to do another session to ask those questions. So I will read this word for word what my higher self had to say. And if for any reason this information doesn't resonate with you, use your own discernment. Okay, question. Is there some event like what Dolores Cannon is talking about with a new earth? Answer. Humans are going through changes, big changes, and this event horizon is something that is valid in a way. It is not a kill shot, but a slow movement towards a less dense vibration. Okay, I'll stop right here. I forgot about this. This kill shot was something I personally asked about from a long time ago when I used to do remote viewing. There was supposed to be this coronal mass ejection, and it was going to wipe out a lot of people and all this stuff, which, frankly, I never did get that in my remote viewing sessions. I'm just saying. But anyway, that's what my higher self is talking about here. Dolores never said anything about a kill shot, but it was just confirming that that is not going to happen. Okay. So, it is not a kill shot, but a slow movement towards a less dense vibration, much like what Bashar talks about. It is different for everyone. Dolores' clients are of differing vibrations. They can only speak about how their higher self views its surroundings. Now, I don't know if that means that different higher selves have different vibrational rates and that they don't all see things in quite the same way. I don't know. I'll have to ask about that. So then it goes on to say, a higher vibe can be seen as light and colorful variations. A type of sky event in the atmosphere. People will be surprised when it happens. The misty-colored sky is only a sign of colorful, life-giving rays that impart a vibration that is of a higher caliber than what is currently there. You and others will be okay, but a better vibration would be helpful. Those who decide to leave their bodies will feel that the vibration is too much for them to stay. Others will thrive on it. You will feel very good. So then I asked my higher self to explain a little bit more about what this event is. And I don't exactly know whether this sky event is something that is actually going to be seen, like part of the new Earth, or what. So it goes on to say, it is a natural event, but created by Spirit long ago as a testing. It is a way to bring another realm to surface with this planet. Those who are willing to go there can, but it is a vibrational event, not a CME. And then I had asked, will it be a visible wave? Answer, some will see it visibly on the horizon. You will see a faint color to the air. This event is a different realm created by Spirit to house or transplant those who are willing to go. The realm is sustenance. It is a life-giving version of Earth. Trees, plants, and animals and humans all coexisting in a harmony, unlike anything done here before. And then I asked, what happens to the negative folks? Answer was, those not willing to go or vibrating properly can't go. They stay. Now, I think it's interesting to note that my higher self was talking about those who are willing to go. It sounds as though there's nobody forced into anything. You simply go if you are willing to be at that vibration. And by that, I mean those who have raised their consciousness and energy levels, because this is really about expanding one's consciousness. Then it went on to say, the time frame for this is irrelevant. It is a position taken within. It's a physical transformation as well as a spiritual one. Layers of broken bodies. Now, at this point, I did do some NMR to see if this was actually something where people were dying, because it sounds like that was the case and that bodies weren't going with them. But no, it sounds like some people will, some people won't. Some people will take their body with them in a higher vibration. So then my higher self goes on to say, most of the time you are able to bring in a positive vibe, but some of the bad feelings are being brought up from the lower vibrations of the general public. Harder to maintain a high vibe, but can be accomplished. That was actually at the beginning of this whole quarantine thing. I was feeling some real negative feelings, and I wasn't so sure that it was me, and well, that kind of confirmed that it wasn't so much. But going back to, layers of broken bodies, I'm like, oh, holy crap, it's just a big old death event or something. But no, I NMR'd it, and it is... Apparently that's the older Earth where that may be a possibility, just saying. But I honestly don't know. I would still have to ask more on all this. So to continue on here, in order for the mass event to take place, it would be likened to the spring flowers, slow growth during the year and then buds and blooms. The event is a transpersonal event. Much is learned through the giving of self to the greater good, but going within is most beneficial. Progress towards this goal has been slow for humanity, but speeding up now. Most will not see much difference, but when a large global shift happens, it will bring more noticeable changes. The dimensions are happening every moment. When a large shift happens, it can still only shift so much in order to keep bodies intact. It is still a gradual process. Quantum shifting is vibrational and is prospered under the guise of movement through time. Time is irrelevant, only noted in 3D. Balance is what is being sought. Within the dimensional curve, there are beings that help focus energy into place. Individuals can also do this, or collectively. Life is what a person envisions. When energy is moving faster, it creates a flow that moves things into being. Touching frequencies sometimes coexist or annihilate the one with the least energy flux. The event is a moving toward a higher frequency, thus into another dimension, caused by mass desire to create this scenario. Not everyone has to go, but it will create changes for everyone. Whether some decide to stay and keep things the same on Earth 1, or decide to move up in vibe. Multiple dimensions exist. You are frequency changing all the time. It is important to know that there are other living aspects of you all around you in the other frequencies. If you choose another frequency, then that dimension is what is brought forth. It is merely a change in frequency. Much of what Dolores said about frequency and dimensions is correct, but not all of the entities that came through the sessions were trusting or accurate, although it may have been their view of how things work. So I thought that was really interesting. Apparently it is a real thing, and that's kind of nice to know. Because there's all kinds of theories and stuff that people come up with, but it does appear that this is a real thing, and I had never heard of Dolores Cannon really before this, even though she was apparently fairly well known, but interesting stuff. And I find it interesting that I think that we are starting to see this parallel reality shift where you're actually seeing it en masse. I mean, you've got one group of people who are more fear-based. They may be really good people, but they're afraid of things. They're afraid of the future, what's going to happen in their lives, all that kind of thing. And because they have that lower vibe, they're not as in sync with their higher selves. So they tend to look at things as, all this chaos, and look at this, and it's just falling apart, and oh my gosh, what are we going to do? On a big global scale and even in their own lives. But you also have the other group of people who is looking at things globally and saying, yeah, there's chaos, but it needs to be broken down in order to rebuild something much better. So you really do see, or I should say I really see, a shift in both ways. It's like almost two different trains going in opposite directions. But, how far that can go, I don't know. And how far can that go where the one group still sees the other group? Because right now, it would seem that both factions are still interacting to a certain extent. But if everybody still creates their own personal reality, there's going to be variations all over the place. But what I see and what apparently has been put into motion is larger groups of people agreeing to go in the same direction at the same time. So I think that's the thing that hasn't been done before and that my higher self was referring to, but also Dolores in her reference to a new earth. It's going to be fascinating. And then one other thing, my higher self had mentioned Bashar in this channeling. And I had asked about him before because you're never really sure if channeled information is correct or not. So I did ask about it and got that he was accurate. But now whether that's on every single topic or not, I don't know. I mean, I try to be very careful and kind of impartial about things, but it would seem that his information is pretty spot on from what I can tell. And I do have a podcast up about shifting parallel realities. That is actually, it's me reading a transcript from Shifting Through Infinity, which is a transmission from Bashar. I was trying to read it word for word, and I don't know that it came across as all that easy to understand the way I was putting the inflections in there. But if you listen to it carefully, he really gives an excellent description of shifting parallel realities. I think one of the best that I've heard. And it would seem that my higher self is confirming that. So that's what my higher self had to say about this. And it's interesting to know that it's pretty much in keeping with the information that Dolores brought forward, at least in the couple seminars that I heard her talking about this. I don't know if that's all she had to say about it or if there was more information that came out, later on. And if I do ask any more questions and get any more information on this, I will definitely do another podcast and keep you all posted. But it does sound like something really kind of cool and fascinating may happen. Right before I finished this podcast, I decided to do another channeling session and find out about higher selves. And do they all have access to the same information? Do they view things in the same way? And this is what I got. Each higher self has its own bank of learned events taken from each soul internment, but each higher self can access records on any topic if desired. Higher selves do resonate at differing frequencies. The higher self frequency can reflect the way a higher self views its surroundings, but, and again, can access higher information. Its vibrational rate indicates its level of understanding. However, it can still access information it doesn't know about. I hope you found this channeling session informative, and I will definitely be posting more of my own channeling sessions here in the future. So for now, this is Janice Voelker with The Science of Spirit. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe to my channel, and I will be back next week.